Is this Miss Thompson's dressing room?
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Oh, no, not at all. I'm actually just getting ready for one of my premiere shows. So this is a perfect time.
Oh, yay,
Why don't you come on
perfect.
in?
Okay, why don't we start off with just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, sure. I would love to do that. So my name's Lydia Thompson. I was born in London on January 19th, 1838. I'm the second daughter of Philip Thompson and Eliza Cooper. And, you know, many times I have heard that I'm the first lady of burlesque, but who's counting?
So I was wondering, how did you first get your start in performing?
Let's see. Well, at the ripe age of 14 in 1852, I joined the Her Majesty's Theatre as a dancing chorus girl. And then I joined Thomas Selby's Spanish Dancers. Oh, and some would say I caused a small sensation imitating Padilla Niña's favorite Spanish dances. And then in 1855, I traveled to Europe for 3 years performing these just extraordinary dances.
Wow, it sounds like you had quite the dance background.
Oh, yes.
What is your dance style like?
Oh, well, I actually did a little bit of everything. You see, I've had training in ballet, Spanish dancing, rifle dances, hornpipe even, some pantomime, some, what do you call it, hausse de monde dances. Just a little bit of everything I've dabbled in, if you could say.
So, Lydia, when did you bring burlesque over to America?
Well, let's see, in about 1868, I brought over Lydia Thompson and the British Blondes over to America, and well, I didn't invent burlesque. I added my own flair and spice to it, where I had women in tight clothing performing intellectual parodies, and it was all made by women and run by women.
Tell us a little bit about your performance in America.
Let's see, well, myself and the British Blondes appeared in Ixion in September 28th, 1868, where we performed at the Woods Museum and the Metropolitan Theater in the New York area. And then we only intended it to be a 6-month tour, but it actually turned into 6 years of traveling, performing at many theaters. We even make it to the James Wallack's Broadway Theater.
Underdressed women playing sexual aggressors, combining good looks with impertinent comedy. In a production written and managed by women, unthinkable. No wonder men and adventurous wives turned out in droves, making Thompson and her British Blondes the hottest thing in American show business.
Wow, Ixion must have been a hit. Can you talk about the show itself?
Oh, of course! We combined comedy, parody, and satire with improvisation, songs and dance, cross-dressing, risky jokes, variety acts, and even some spicy costumes.
Speaking of songs, I heard that once you tried to sing on stage and it didn't go so well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Scott, turn the camera.
If you don't mind, I just have a few more questions. So when was your last performance?
Well, in 1882, on my final farewell tour, it had to be cut short due to an illness. And honestly, I just became frustrated with what the art form had turned into. It lost the intellectual and political elements that the art form once had and turned into mainstream entertainment. Honestly, I didn't even recognize burlesque anymore.
In 1896, there was a wave of anti-burlesque hysteria. What was that about?
Well, some people felt that the content of our shows transgressed the boundaries of propriety, and the press started to scare away our middle-class audiences, and the hatred towards American burlesque seemed to grow and grow. Quite honestly, I think it was because men were intimidated that women were finally in power and had a platform to speak their minds.
So what happened to burlesque when men became threatened by female power?
Well, when men began to take over burlesque, it turned into a spectacle of a woman's body. This was an art form that allowed women to express their opinions and was ultimately turned into a voiceless art form used to please the eyes and minds of men. And ultimately, burlesque was marginalized and reconstructed into a popular form of entertainment that was geared toward the male audiences in the 1870s.
Can you talk about what burlesque meant to women?
Well, burlesque was emerging at a time where the question of what does it mean to be a woman was beginning. And this was an art form that allowed women to act out societal issues and contradictory debates in front of the public. And it magnetized and hypnotized audiences with women in revealing costumes, parodying societal issues, serious plays, and overall mocking the male species.
This seemed to clearly pose a threat to men.
Oh yes, this clearly posed a giant threat to men and really the overall world, in which it gave women a platform to talk about how they saw the world.
So Lydia, what was your favorite part about American burlesque?
Well, my favorite part about burlesque, from besides being a star, was the agency it gave women. It not only allowed women to perform, but it allowed them to push the societal and intellectual boundaries.
Places! Thank you so much, Lydia. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. It was lovely answering all of your questions. Now it's time for me to be a star.
Okay, we're rolling.
Got it. I joined Thomas Bailey's. Is that right? Thomas who?
Bailey?
Then I joined Thomas Sean's. Then I joined Thomas Bailey. Fine! Thomas Sully. Had women in a tight clothing who performed intellectual parodies of things. We combined gave women and in this